Right, forget to put my mic on. So, hi everyone now. I was just talking by myself. It's chicken time! Here we got the timer for the session. I got 5 tables for now, waiting on the fourth one, but yeah, as you see, they're not that great. A6 gonna be a 3-bet like 40% of the times or so. The tables today haven't been that good. Here to gamble, quite an nitty guy, don't really expect him to 4-bet enough or check raise enough post flop, therefore I think 3-betting is gonna perform better than calling, especially when there's no recreationals in the blinds. Neymar, recreational, but he's not a huge whale or anything. Anyway, Kings is gonna be a pure 3-bet in any case. King Queen here, very often a check raise. We need to make it small and quite mergy, and check raise very often on the paired boards. This one, I think in practice we can just go for a range bet, same here. I'm just gonna zoom in on the table if there's some interesting action. For now we're mostly playing short-handed. Here on the king, I'm gonna continue for something like 66%, just because I'm gonna have some jack-x, like ace-jack. Yeah, maybe I could increase the size to like a pot size bet, just because something like ace-jack can still go pot. And we don't really want to bet lower than that. And now on the river, gonna go for something like this. I think ace-jack could still continue against most normal people, but this guy being so nitty, I'm not sure if he's calling enough worse hands to justify betting something like ace-jack here as a triple. Same in this case, this is in theory very far from a range bet board, but again, exploitatively, this field is just very nitty, very passive, so we can go a bit overboard. Here, I think this is very close. With a player behind, we can probably just fold. If this guy wasn't a recreational, I think it's a easier fold, but as I said, he's not like super all over the place or something. Here against this size, very easy fold. A lot of these tables are not good at all, so I'd have to leave some of them and try to find some better ones. And also my mouse is doing some tricks. Can't really click right. Okay, this looks a bit better. We have 1, 2, 3 recreationals at this table. The bottom right also really bad. I'm just gonna leave. Here, facing an open with ace jack, we're mostly just gonna call. And the A turn is quite good for him. I mean, we're gonna have some 8x. I'm not gonna call a lot of the offset versions, but when he checks back, he's also gonna have a bunch of 8x as well. Facing a 1/3, I guess in theory we should probably continue. Maybe in practice too. I don't think he's gonna go that size with an 8, but then I expect him to kind of bet most of his trash on the flop. And now he's going for an overbet. On a 6, I mean, if he has some bluffs, they do get there. A bunch of them actually get there. Here I guess into two people that just check back, I expect them to be quite straightforward. So I'm going for a really small bet because I expect a bunch of worse calls with stuff like 8 jack from the recreational and a bunch of flush draws and whatnot, and then we also get protection from a lot of overcards or value, which is quite nice when we have deuces against two ranges. Gonna go for a bet here. This guy once again is a recreational, so I'm not too bothered about balance. Oh, I didn't see him against two people here. And he goes for a small check raise. I mean, I'm not folding top pair yet, but he's very passive and he doesn't really 3-bet pre-flop, so and we can have aces here, kings, ace, queen. And now he snap bets turn. In a spot where it's very difficult to have bluffs. Let me just quickly check my notes on him. Guess against half pot we can call once again. Maybe he has some lower queen X from time to time, but I really dislike this spot. Yeah, and now I'm just gonna fold the river. On this one, gonna go for a small delayed c-bet. Here, we flat the big blind, and obviously no donking on this board. There's a queen, and in this scenario, we don't really wanna use huge bets because we don't really have a net advantage theoretically speaking. Again, this is not a guy who over delays c-bets or anything like that. So I'm just gonna try to get the money into the pot myself. And now on the river, I think he could have some flushes. I've seen him before going for these kind of checks. I think he could still have some king X. Going for, generally I would like to have a like 40% and an overbet, but against him I'd really just play my hand here on the river and try to target his range. I think he's a bit too weak to be concerned with having a bunch of balanced sizings and so on and so forth. Hopefully he doesn't watch this stream. Going for the 3-bet against the recreational with 10s. Just getting a fold. Here with 3s. Against 13 big blinds, I'm just gonna fold most of the times. Again, face. Oh no, that was a misclick. I meant to 3-bet. Got some ace king here on the bottom right as well. Cheers. And going for a 4-bet most of the times here. I think ace-10 is still a bit too weak to call. Here with ace-10, I guess I'm just gonna go for a small bet. It's kind of value against this guy. Ace-queen, pretty easy call. Okay, facing that big of a check raise, I think we're just gonna let it go. With the ace-queen, should we have some raises here against big blind? I guess we can have some. Facing a call, I'm just gonna try to show this down. They're gonna have a bunch of ace-king and then ace-jack. They're also gonna have some ace-4, ace-5, maybe ace-3, and then something like ace-jack is not really 3-bet that often from the big blind. And going for a call here. Wow, that's a very wide call against the check raise. Against the raise, sorry. Gonna take a note on that. Fours, pretty easy open, ace-9 as well. Here the ace-jack is usually just a fold against that position open, but I know he's a recreational, so I'm willing to go way wider. And now on this flop, I guess I could go either way. I kind of block a lot of folds, but at the same time he might just be way too wide, so gonna try a c-bet. On this other table, gonna go for a check raise with our gut shot. Turn is not that great for us. I'm not sure that at this point he's folding stuff like 8, 9, 7x, so I'm just gonna give this up. And obviously he can still have a bunch of 10x and so on and so forth. And now the river is actually better for us. I don't think he's gonna have a lot of queen x. Of course he can have some queen x flush draws, he can still have some 10x, but then there's also a lot of under pairs in his range, so I'm just gonna go for a bet and try to get those to fold. He's not like a super call happy recreational or anything, so I think against this one it's a good play, but we need to be careful against who we're doing this kind of plays, because a lot of racks get very sticky in bet check bad lines. Once again, an open from the recreational. Gonna go for a 3-bet. Again, this is It's thin, but you know, I'd rather play heads up against the wreck than invite other wrecks into the pot. And gonna go for a small bet. Here, he could have some better pairs, but also a bunch of flush draws, stuff like 7-8. Guess I'm gonna go for a check, because yeah, he can have a bunch of better hands, and then he could also check shove some draws, and that puts us in kind of a tough spot. And now on the river, I'm gonna go for a bet, try to get some value. Nice. Going back to showing all the tables. Going for a 3-bet with jacks. And against a cold 4-bet, this would be way too thin to shove. I'm gonna go for a call. Terrible board. Here, going for another 3-bet against the same recreational. And the jacks are just gonna fold. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna range by this board as he's very wide pre-flop. And that means it's gonna work way more often. King 10 opening on the button. And the ace jack against 2 recreationals. I'm gonna squeeze. Not really nice seeing this. He's very, very tight, so very easy fold. Here, I think having diamonds is actually quite nice, because we block a lot of auto folds. Diamonds would bet the flop most often. So that means he's gonna have more spades and hearts that are just going to fold. Here we went for a bet on the flop. Again, he's gonna be very wide bet on the turn, as we're still getting better to fold than we have the nut flush draw. And now on the river, it's really nice to hit. Gonna go something like 3/4, 2/3. Try to get called by some 9x and worse flushes. No need to go huge there, especially on a paired board. Here, another hand against my favorite Neat. Here to gamble. Just range betting the most flops against him, and now on the turn. I mean, this is not the greatest turn for us. He's definitely the kind of guy to not check raise a bunch of bottom pairs, middle pairs, straight draws. So I think this is not really a texture where we want to implement overbets. I think going with 3/4 is better, as again it's not the greatest turn for us. Other hand against the rack, ace 9 8. Again, I think we can just go for a c-bet, just because like the wider they are and the less they connect with the board, also the less aggressive they are, the more that allows us to c-bet. Facing a check raise, considering I think his tendency is to be quite passive, I think we can just comfortably fold. Sixes from the big blind is gonna be a pure call. I'm not really 3-betting those kind of combos. Here the fives I would call with a recreational in the blinds, but there's none. And here against under the gun, I think even with the backdoor, sixes are quite break even. So I'm just gonna go for a fold. Especially because I think most people are not really finding... Oh, that was... Okay, if that was cut off, it's not great. Table 1 with queen 10, I'm just gonna peel it this time. Roll low, I'm not gonna really put this into my... four betting range. Is very often a call, and now on the turn we just block a bunch of folds, and we should be very careful and polar with our bets, so this one is not gonna make it into my range. And now on the river, do we really want to bluff? I don't think so. I think they most often have some showdown value when they check back twice so quickly on an ace, so I think I'm just gonna give this up. Here we bet, we get the call. I think he might slow play some 10x. I think he could have some straights, and none of them would probably raise if we go small. So I'm just gonna go for an overbet. I think blocking full houses is also nice, so yeah. Cool hand, nice to find the big size. Maybe I would have liked to make it even something like 2.5x spot, because I think if he has a straight or a 10, he's not folding anyway. And if he has better, he's probably gonna shove, but I don't think that's gonna happen very often. Here ace 10 is mostly gonna go for a 3-bet, especially against more passive players who aren't really gonna put up in tough spots very often. Nine 10, gonna go for a 3-bet. And facing a cold 4-bet. It's quite small. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do that with ace 10 very frequently, so gonna call. And here I think I'm just gonna shove, because if we don't hit and they shove on the turn, I don't think we have enough equity. And now we're also getting protection from something like ace king, ace queen if we just shove some king queen. So I think it's better than just calling. We also realize our equity and we're probably flipping against overpairs. I'm gonna mark this for review. My camera is covering some of the screen, so I have to go like, Gotta work a bit more on table selection. I don't have the greatest table, and I think there are gonna definitely be better tables available. Eight-7, mostly gonna fold, although I'm not sure about Big John. Weak. Sometimes I take shitty notes and I don't really get what's going on. Yeah, it just says weak. I'm not sure if like he's a weak reg or weak rec. We're facing a click race from a recreational. Nice to see we have this kind of guys at our table, but let me see if I have a note on him. Yeah, just gonna check back. This is high. Now probably gonna turn it into a bluff. Just because I am block hands like jacks and tens and block hands like ace queen, which will naturally play like that. Sorry, which one? Okay, this should be f3. And now when he goes for a donk, I mean, we could raise. I don't think that's a great idea though, so I'm just gonna go for a fold. Against Big John, we're gonna go for a 3-bet, facing a snap called 4-bet, very easy fold. Here I'm gonna go for a decently sized ISO. I could make it even bigger because they do tend to call a bunch of stuff like ace deuce off and a bunch of hands that we dominate, but the problem is he's very short stack, so yeah. Here facing a 4-bet from Big John, very easy get it in, especially because we've 3-bet him quite a lot, so he might just, you know, go a bit overboard. He folds. I need a very quick toilet break. Um, 6-5 here, quite infrequent continue, but I rolled very low, so I'm gonna continue this time. Might find a raise if he goes for a c-bet, a small one, because they're not really supposed to range bet the ace-high boards from the big blind, as a lot of ace-x will be called. So if they overdo it, I think going for a raise is more than fine. Not gonna do it always. And now I think it kind of sucks that they could have the ace high flush, call the raise on the flop. We still block sixes. I mean, it doesn't really matter because he doesn't have a lot of sixes, so I guess I'm just gonna give this up, check back, and maybe bluff the river if he checks. But he doesn't, and I don't think he's bluffing very often. I think the benefit of checking back is he's gonna give us some info on the river. And I think people in this field really under bluff, so saved us some money there. I need to get to level 6. Until the 1st of October, because then I get 12x multiplier, and that's quite a lot of extra rake back. And it also follows through in the next like quarters of the year. So I plan to go for 15k points per day. I have 5 more to do today. Okay, I'll just run to the bathroom and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back in the bees. Okay, this one we have to close. And Buna Cuckoo, merci, merci frumos. Okay, another table that's quite bad. Here, blind versus blind, just gonna go for a range bet. It's not been, this is the third session I played today. I usually try to keep it up to 1 hour and a half. I don't think I can really focus and play properly after that. You know, there's a lot of people just saying, I know, they play for hours and hours and hours, and I don't think we're really made or wired to play well for so long, so I try to, you know, pay attention to that. Queen 4 against 2.5x cutoff. I think it's quite close. We can probably overcall a little bit, because I think even out of position I'm gonna have some edge post flop. He goes for a snap c-bet. I mean, I would have to raise some 4x, but I'd rather go with the lower ones. And here I'm mostly gonna check the river and try to get it to showdown against something like king queen, king jack, or deuces. And facing a bet, I would definitely consider going for a check raise, as I could have stuff like straight 6-5, which is definitely good enough to raise, and also stuff like ace 4, which I would not raise on the flop, ace 7. So there's quite a bunch of good hands I could have that are worth a raise. Here deuce is gonna go for an open. We have a recreational in the small blind, so nothing too bad. Unfortunately, I think the tables today are not all that good. Here I'm gonna go for a c-bet, just because, again, I would like to get some protection from random hands, and he's also calling quite a lot with stuff like king queen and 8-10, 9-8. I don't think he's check raising all that often, so facing a check raise, based on my reads, I'm just gonna fold. Facing another check raise here, I don't expect that very often from most of this field. Maybe they are watching the stream and they're like, I'm just gonna range bet here, no one's check raising, and they're just like, fuck you. Bam bam, check raise everywhere. Hopefully that's not the case. Oh, queens, nice. Got king queen here. It's gonna be pretty much a pure squeeze. Feel the dead of the night under your skin. Don't let go of the light. You'll find it within. 'Cause I can't save you. Mersi, Bogdan. Ca un avatar de pe Unibet. Nu știu dacă ăsta e un compliment sau nu. Ok, să vedem. Here I would go quite polar when I bet, and I think we can actually get a bunch of better ace highs to fold, so it's nice. Here on the top right against the recreational, gonna go for something like pot. I think they start overfolding a little bit against overbets, but never folding an ace against pot. He's like, everyone's some kind of semi-fish today. Le rog, fășu! Până acum mă nebuneau fetele care conduceau motor de când am dat de streamurile tale, mă nebunesc fetele care joacă poker. Super, sper să mai vii pe aici în cazul ăsta. Here, top right, again, we are against the recreational. Just gonna go 40% because I think he's gonna be super inelastic, so he's probably gonna call the same range, which is a lot of hands that we beat against both 1/3 and 40. And here, yes, we could go either way. He's not super stationy, so I'm gonna go for a check back. And why not see a full house on the river? Another set on this river. Hopefully he has a king and plays it trappy and goes for a check raise. Nah, didn't happen. And here against Luigi, I open, goes check check to the river, and now he goes for a small bet. Of course I'm gonna call, like, he's a recreational, gonna have very wide range, and it's gonna be very easy for him to start over bluffing. Queens here, I mean, we should be more careful. Three ways, so this hand doesn't really need, I mean, we could get some value, but we don't need that much protection, so I'm just gonna check and call once, although I think the guy's quite needy. I mean, in this field I wouldn't even mind folding the flop. Now on the river, I think we can go for something like a quarter. Oops, am I showing the wrong table? Yeah, I think we can go for a quarter, trying to get called by something like tens, jacks, and yeah, I think it's better than check calling. So it's either that or check folding, I would say. I think the timing is also, like, you didn't see the flop, I'm sorry, but his timing was like very snap, half pot. So there's a lot that we can read into. Here, facing such a big check raise size, I think our hand is already indifferent. We block some bluffs, although we don't beat blocks like 7-8, 7-4. And I roll low. I guess I'm just gonna go for a call once, but I'm obviously not happy to see that check raise size. And again, I need to check my notes on this person. Now, like, what's his value here? He's gonna have some ace jack, although it's not very many combos. Gonna have some 6 ace 5s, some 6-5, and then yeah, I think he can probably sustain this and might be a bit of a sizing tell on the flop. So I'm gonna go for a fold. Pretty easy called 4-bet with ace king. And got call it off. Come on, a flip for us. It's time. It's time for a king. An ace. Yes. Whoop, whoop. Come to mama. I ran so bad today that I'm really happy to finally win a flip. Hello, Ain. What's up? Drop. Tables are so bad today. Usually Unibet is so much better. Yeah, not much to say about what's going on here. It's like really shitty tables. Nothing's happening really. Here on table 5, I think this Kekkonen guy is gonna be a wreck. Yes. We're also playing quite short-handed, which I don't like to do on stream because my attention is like drawn away like by stream chat. I mean, I don't have a lot of people in the chat, unfortunately. Against this wreck, I'm gonna go for a range bet. King 5, not gonna 3-bet. Blind versus blind, Jack 7 off. Sometimes gonna 3-bet, but I rolled pretty high, so not this time. And here, I'm gonna go for a double barrel. I think pot kind of does the job because this is not really a hand I want to keep bluffing with on the river if I don't hit. And now hopefully we win against something like 6-7 or some not flush draw. Now he has a king, so no problem. Facing these sides here, I think it's gonna be pretty bet sizing equals hand strength, and I also have some reads that he can be quite mergy, so I wouldn't be super surprised if he goes that size with something like 9, so I'm gonna fold. You want 5% of my money for a lot of stuff. Okay, well, here I think I can just... I actually watched a video today about like this, a very similar spot, and I think we can probably range bet the turn for 40%. Actually showed Robert what I was talking about. I guess it was just the audio. I took a note though to show Robert about that. Yeah, well, apparently all the tables are dying now. I have 5k points more to go. I'm not playing this. What should I do? I'm gonna play some 50NL. Oh, come on. I hate when they do this. I know it's a thing in like solvers with ace queen and tens mostly, but I still dislike it. Here, top right, I would go something like pot or check, maybe 110 or check, and ace is gonna be a pure check for me in that strategy. Ace 3. Don't really want to squeeze, I'd rather just keep the recreational in the pot. Here. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for a call. Not really the river I wanted to see. And now, I think I like checking here with the nut flush. I think he's gonna go for quite a bunch of delayed c-bets. And I probably get more money into the pot by checking. And now, kinda have to bet. Gonna go small, because I don't think he ever has a king. So I'm trying to get called by basically worse combos. Here with ace, just gonna fold against an overbet. I think it's a pretty easy fold in this field. Finally, aces. People playing for stacks every hand on GG and getting raked like crazy, I assume. Wow, I just played a really nice hand off stream. Okay, the only table we have action at. I was really planning to stream for 2 hours today, but what can I do if there's nothing to play? I will have to leave. Got some kings. Hopefully we stack early and at least leave happy. Yeah, I don't think this is the type of recreational to overstep or anything, so I'm just gonna go something like 40 myself. And now going something like this, force him. I think against something like this size, he would still call any under pair or flush draw, and then he's probably gonna have a hard time folding them by the river. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, well, hopefully you get to see there, Rain. the 4-3 against recreational limping. Here with some equity and 4 high, I really like going for a probe. I could have a bunch of Queen X, I could have the King X, and now he snap checked the flop. I'm not sure if he's gonna fold an ace, but I think he's gonna have a bunch of under pairs like 6x and so on and so forth. I don't really want to... Could still have a queen, so I don't really want to lose a bunch by overbetting, but at least I could get him off a chop with a small bet, so I really like the small bet here. Okay, so unfortunately everyone, this was it for today. I would have really liked to play longer, but everyone decided to leave the tables and leave me alone. So maybe I will do a stream a bit later if I can move some coachings that I have. Thanks for joining, and yeah, I'm planning to stream every weekday from 6 p.m. so